The black Range Rover pulled smoothly through the hospital gates as morning sunlight filtered through the autumn trees, lining the entrance to Surrey Hospital. Kate sat in the passenger seat, her hands folded carefully in her lap, watching the familiar red brick buildings come into view. She had visited many hospitals over the years, but today felt different somehow. Today she was here not for a formal engagement or charity appearance, but for something more personal and meaningful. Her security detail had arrived earlier to coordinate with hospital staff, ensuring everything would run smoothly. The maternity ward was always a special place for Kate. The joy of new life, the hope in parents' eyes, and the dedicated work of midwives and nurses never failed to touch her heart. She remembered her own experiences in hospital wards, the mixture of excitement and nervousness that came with bringing new life into the world. The car came to a gentle stop near the main entrance. Kate could see through the tinted windows that a small group of hospital administrators waited near the doors. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the head of maternity services, stood slightly apart from the others, checking her watch. Kate recognized her from their previous meeting when they had discussed the new birthing suites that the hospital had recently opened. Kate's private secretary, Emma, turned from the front seat with a warm smile. "The hospital staff are ready for you, ma'am. Dr. Mitchell mentioned they have several new mothers who would very much like to meet you, if you're comfortable with that." "Of course," Kate replied, smoothing down her blue wool dress. She had chosen the color deliberately, knowing that soft blues were calming in hospital environments. "I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. How long do we have today?" "About 2 hours, ma'am. That should give you time to tour the new facilities and spend time with the families who've requested to meet you." Kate nodded, taking a deep breath. These visits were among her favorites, but they also required emotional preparation. She would meet families celebrating the arrival of healthy babies, but she might also encounter those facing difficulties. Her role was to bring comfort and show that she cared, that their experiences mattered. The door opened, and Kate stepped out onto the pavement. The October air was crisp and carried the faint smell of fallen leaves. Dr. Mitchell approached with a genuine smile, extending her hand in greeting. "Your Royal Highness, welcome to Surrey Hospital. We're absolutely delighted to have you here today." Kate shook her hand warmly. "Dr. Mitchell, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to seeing the new maternity facilities you've been working so hard to establish." "We're very proud of what we've accomplished," Dr. Mitchell said as they walked toward the entrance. "The new birthing suites have already made such a difference for our families. We've been able to create a much more comfortable, home-like environment while maintaining all the medical safety standards." As they entered the hospital lobby, Kate noticed how different it felt from the clinical atmosphere of older medical buildings. Soft lighting, comfortable seating areas, and artwork on the walls created a welcoming environment. Families sat together, some cradling newborns, others waiting with excited grandparents. The renovation took nearly 18 months, Dr. Mitchell explained as they walked toward the elevators. "We wanted to completely reimagine what a hospital maternity experience could be like. Evidence shows that when mothers feel relaxed and supported, both they and their babies have better outcomes." Kate listened intently, asking questions about the research behind the design choices and the feedback from families who had used the new facilities. She genuinely wanted to understand how the improvements were making a real difference in people's lives. The elevator doors opened on the 3rd floor, revealing a corridor that looked nothing like a traditional hospital ward. Instead of harsh fluorescent lighting, warm LED fixtures created a gentle glow. The walls were painted in soft greens and blues, with nature photography providing peaceful focal points. "This is remarkable," Kate said, pausing to admire a photograph of sunrise over the Surrey countryside. "It feels so calming." "That was exactly our goal," Dr. Mitchell replied with pride. "Stress hormones can actually interfere with labor progression, so creating a peaceful environment isn't just about comfort. It's about medical outcomes, too." They passed the nurses' station, where several staff members looked up with smiles. Kate made a point of greeting each one, asking about their work and how long they had been at the hospital. She had learned over the years that acknowledging the hard work of healthcare professionals meant a great deal to them. Midwife Johnson here has been with us for 15 years, Dr. Mitchell said, introducing a woman with kind eyes and graying hair. She's delivered over 2,000 babies. Kate's eyes widened with genuine amazement. 2,000. That's extraordinary. Each one of those represents a family's most precious moment. Midwife Johnson blushed slightly. It never gets old, Your Royal Highness. Every birth is a miracle, whether it's the first baby or the 10th. I imagine you have some incredible stories, Kate said. Oh, we certainly do, Midwife Johnson laughed. Just last week, we had a baby who decided to arrive in the hospital parking lot. The father was trying to park the car when his wife announced the baby wasn't waiting any longer. I ran outside with a birthing kit, and we delivered a beautiful little girl right there between two cars. Kate laughed along with the group that had gathered around them. I hope everyone was all right. Mother and baby were perfect. The father took a bit longer to recover from the shock, but he's doing fine too now. As they continued down the corridor, Dr. Mitchell pointed out various improvements that had been made. Each room was designed like a hotel suite rather than a medical facility, with comfortable beds that could be adjusted for labor, private bathrooms with specially designed bathtubs for water births, and space for family members to stay comfortably. The partners and family members are such an important part of the birthing experience, Dr. Mitchell explained. In the old facilities, fathers often ended up sleeping in uncomfortable chairs. Now we have proper accommodations for them too. Kate peered into one of the empty suites, noting the large windows that provided natural light and views of the hospital's garden areas. A comfortable armchair sat beside the bed, with a small table that could hold snacks and drinks. Everything was designed to support the entire family through the experience. May I ask about the cost of these renovations? Kate inquired. I imagine funding improvements like this can be challenging. Dr. Mitchell nodded. It was a significant investment, about £3 million in total. We received some government funding, but we also relied heavily on charitable donations from the local community. People really rallied around this project once they understood how much difference it would make. That's wonderful to hear. Community support for healthcare improvements is so important. They approached a room where soft voices could be heard from inside. Dr. Mitchell knocked gently on the partially open door. Mrs. Peterson, I have someone here who would very much like to meet you and baby James. A young woman's voice called out, Please come in. Kate entered the room to find a glowing new mother cradling a tiny baby boy. The woman, who appeared to be in her early 20s, had clearly been crying happy tears. Her partner sat beside the bed, looking equally overwhelmed with joy. Your Royal Highness, Mrs. Peterson said, trying to sit up straighter. Please, don't get up, Kate said quickly, approaching the bed. Congratulations on your beautiful son. How are you feeling? Tired, but amazing, Mrs. Peterson replied with a radiant smile. James arrived at 3 this morning after 12 hours of labor. But look at him, isn't he perfect? Kate leaned in to admire the baby, who was sleeping peacefully in his mother's arms. He's absolutely beautiful. How much did he weigh? 7 pounds, 4 ounces, the new father answered proudly. The midwives said he's very healthy. That's wonderful news. Is this your first baby? Mrs. Peterson nodded. We were so nervous, but everyone here has been incredible. The room, the staff, everything made such a difference. I felt so supported through the whole experience. Kate spent several more minutes with the family, asking about their plans and offering congratulations. She could see the profound happiness in their faces, the way they kept looking at their son with wonder and amazement. As they left the room, Kate felt the familiar warmth that these encounters always brought her. Moments like that remind me why hospital visits are so important, she said to Dr. Mitchell. Being able to share in that joy, even briefly, is such a privilege. The families appreciate your visits more than you know, Dr. Mitchell replied. It makes their special day even more memorable. They continued through the ward, with Dr. Mitchell explaining more about the medical equipment that had been updated along with the cosmetic improvements. New monitoring systems allowed for better tracking of both mother and baby during labor, while updated emergency equipment ensured that any complications could be handled immediately. Safety is always our top priority, Dr. Mitchell emphasized. All these improvements to comfort and atmosphere are built on a foundation of excellent medical care. Kate nodded appreciatively. She understood the delicate balance between creating a welcoming environment and maintaining the highest medical standards. It required skilled planning and significant resources to achieve both goals simultaneously. As they approached another occupied room, they could hear laughter from inside. Dr. Mitchell smiled. This is the Williams family. They're celebrating the arrival of twins. Twins, Kate exclaimed. How exciting. The twins' parents welcomed Kate with enthusiasm, introducing their daughters Emma and Sophie, born just 6 hours earlier. The babies lay in separate bassinets beside their mother's bed, both sleeping soundly after their arrival. We didn't know we were having twins until the 7-month scan, Mrs. Williams explained. It was quite a shock, but the best kind of surprise. Double the joy, Kate said, admiring both babies. Are they identical? The doctors think so, but we'll know for sure when they're a bit older. Right now, they're both just perfect. Mr. Williams showed Kate the special twin birthing suite they had been given, which was larger than the standard rooms to accommodate the extra medical equipment needed for multiple births. The staff here thought of everything, he said gratefully. They made sure we had everything we needed for both babies. Kate spent time discussing the challenges and joys of raising twins with the parents, sharing some insights from friends who had experienced multiple births. The conversation was warm and natural, with Kate asking thoughtful questions about their preparations for bringing 2 babies home. After saying goodbye to the Williams family, Kate and Dr. Mitchell walked toward the special care unit. We have a few families here with babies who needed a bit of extra help after birth, Dr. Mitchell explained gently. If you're comfortable meeting them, I know it would mean a great deal. Of course, Kate replied without hesitation. Those families especially need support and encouragement. The special care unit had the same warm, welcoming design as the rest of the maternity ward, but with additional medical equipment visible. Incubators lined one wall, each containing a tiny patient receiving specialized care. Kate approached the first incubator, where a baby girl no bigger than her hand was sleeping peacefully. Her parents, a couple in their 30s, stood nearby with expressions of hope mixed with worry. This is little Grace, the mother, Miss Thompson, said softly. Each story was different, but all shared common themes of hope, determination, and gratitude for the medical care their babies were receiving. Dr. Mitchell watched Kate interact with these families with obvious admiration. She could see how naturally Kate connected with people during their most vulnerable moments, offering genuine comfort and interest without seeming intrusive or artificial. The morning continued with visits to several more families, each encounter bringing its own joys and challenges. Kate met first-time parents still overwhelmed by the reality of their new responsibility, experienced parents welcoming their 4th child, and grandparents meeting their newest grandchild for the first time. In one room, she encountered a single mother who had given birth to her son just 2 days earlier. The young woman, barely 20 years old, was clearly both thrilled and terrified about raising a child on her own. Do you have good support at home? Kate asked gently. My mom is helping, the young woman replied. And the hospital social worker has connected me with some local resources for new mothers. I'm nervous, but I know we'll be okay. Kate spent extra time with his family, discussing the various support systems available and encouraging the new mother to reach out for help when she needed it. She could see the young woman's confidence growing as they talked. The hours passed quickly as Kate moved through the ward, each interaction bringing new insights into the experiences of families at this crucial time in their lives. She was struck by the universal nature of the emotions she witnessed: joy, worry, love, hope, that transcended all differences in background or circumstance. As the morning visit began to wind down, Dr. Mitchell led Kate to a quiet consultation room where they could discuss what she had seen and experienced during her time on the ward. Your visit has meant so much to our families and staff, Dr. Mitchell said. Having someone of your stature take such genuine interest in their experiences validates the importance of what we're trying to achieve here. Kate settled into a comfortable chair, reflecting on the morning's encounters. I'm the one who should be thanking you and your staff. The work you're doing here, the care you're providing to families at such a crucial time. It's truly remarkable. We're very proud of what we've built here, Dr. Mitchell replied. But there's always more we want to do, more improvements we'd like to make. What are your priorities for future development? Kate asked, leaning forward with interest. We'd love to expand our mental health support services, Dr. Mitchell explained. Postpartum depression and anxiety affect many more mothers than people realize, and early intervention makes such a difference. We'd also like to enhance our support for fathers and partners who sometimes get overlooked during this transition. Kate nodded thoughtfully. These were issues she had encountered in various forms throughout her work with families and healthcare organizations. Those sound like important areas for development. What kind of support would be most helpful? Funding is always a challenge, of course. But beyond that, raising awareness about these issues is crucial. When people understand how common postpartum mental health challenges are, they're more likely to seek help early. That's an area where public awareness campaigns can make a real difference, Kate agreed. Reducing the stigma around asking for help is so important. Their conversation continued, covering various aspects of maternal and newborn care, the challenges facing the healthcare system, and the innovative approaches being developed at Surrey Hospital. Kate asked detailed questions about staffing levels, training programs, and the integration of new technologies into patient care. I'm particularly impressed by how you've managed to maintain such a personal, caring atmosphere while incorporating all the latest medical advances, Kate observed. That balance isn't easy to achieve. It requires constant attention, Dr. Mitchell admitted. Technology should enhance the human connection, not replace it. We train all our staff to remember that behind every medical case is a family going through one of the most important experiences of their lives. As they talked, Kate made mental notes about aspects of the Surrey Hospital model that might be applicable to other healthcare facilities. She often served as an unofficial bridge between successful programs and organizations looking to implement similar improvements. Have you shared your approach with other hospitals? Kate asked. We've presented at several conferences and published papers about our outcomes. Other facilities have sent staff here for training, and we're always happy to share what we've learned. That kind of collaboration is so valuable. Innovation in one place can benefit families everywhere. Dr. Mitchell smiled. That's exactly our philosophy. We're not trying to keep our methods secret. We want every family to have access to this kind of care. The conversation was interrupted by a gentle knock on the door. One of the midwives peered in with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Anderson is asking if Her Royal Highness might have a moment to meet baby Oliver. He arrived about an hour ago. Kate looked to Dr. Mitchell, who nodded encouragingly. Of course, Kate said, rising from her chair. I'd be delighted to meet them. They made their way to another birthing suite, where they found a glowing mother cradling her newborn son. The baby had arrived so recently that he still had that brand new look that made him seem almost impossibly tiny and perfect. Your Royal Highness, Mrs. Anderson said, her voice filled with emotion. I can't believe you're here on the day Oliver was born. This makes everything even more special. Kate approached the bed with a warm smile. Congratulations on your beautiful son. How are you feeling? Incredible. Exhausted, but incredible, Mrs. Anderson laughed. Oliver decided to arrive 3 weeks early, but he's healthy and perfect. Sometimes babies have their own schedules, Kate said, admiring the newborn. He's absolutely beautiful. How was your experience here at the hospital? Beyond anything I could have hoped for, Mrs. Anderson replied enthusiastically. The staff, the facilities, everything exceeded my expectations. I felt so supported through the entire process. Mr. Anderson, who had been quietly watching his wife and son, stepped forward. We've been telling everyone about how amazing this place is. The way they've designed everything, how they treat families, it's like nothing we expected from a hospital. Kate spent several more minutes with the Anderson family, sharing in their joy and asking about their plans for taking Oliver home. As she prepared to leave, Mrs. Anderson reached for her hand. "Thank you so much for being here today. Oliver's birth was already the most amazing day of our lives, and your visit has made it even more special. We'll always remember this." Kate felt deeply moved by the sincere gratitude in the woman's voice. "Thank you for allowing me to share in this special moment. Oliver is very lucky to have such loving parents." As they left the room, Kate reflected on how these interactions affected her. Each family she met was experiencing one of life's most profound moments, and being invited to witness their joy was truly a privilege. The morning was drawing to a close, but Kate felt energized rather than tired. The positive atmosphere of the maternity ward, the dedication of the staff, and the joy of the families had created an uplifting experience that reminded her why healthcare visits were among her most meaningful public duties. Dr. Mitchell walked with Kate back toward the elevator, both women reflecting on the morning's experiences. "I hope this visit has been valuable for you," Dr. Mitchell said. "Absolutely," Kate replied without hesitation. "I've learned so much about innovative approaches to maternal care, and meeting the families has been truly wonderful. You and your team should be very proud of what you've accomplished here. Your visit means more than you know. It validates the importance of what we're trying to do and gives our staff tremendous pride in their work." As the elevator arrived, Kate took one last look around the maternity ward. The peaceful atmosphere, the sound of newborn cries mixing with parents' laughter, and the sight of families beginning their journeys together created a scene of hope and renewal. "I'd very much like to return in the future," Kate said to Dr. Mitchell. "Perhaps when you've implemented some of those new programs we discussed. We would be absolutely honored to have you back anytime," Dr. Mitchell replied warmly. The elevator doors closed, carrying Kate back down to the main lobby where her security detail waited. As she prepared to leave Surrey Hospital, she felt grateful for the morning's experiences and inspired by the dedication of the healthcare professionals she had met. The family she had encountered would stay with her long after she left the hospital. Their stories of joy, hope, and love reminded her of the fundamental human experiences that connected everyone, regardless of their circumstances or background. Outside, the autumn sun had climbed higher in the sky, warming the hospital grounds where families continued to arrive for their own special moments. Kate's visit to Surrey Hospital's maternity ward had been a reminder of the incredible work being done in healthcare facilities across the country, and the privilege of witnessing life's most precious beginnings. Kate returned to Surrey Hospital 3 weeks later, this time arriving in the early afternoon when the maternity ward bustled with different energy than her morning visit. The October weather had turned cooler, with a light drizzle creating patterns on the hospital windows as her car pulled into the familiar entrance. Emma, her private secretary, had arranged this follow-up visit after Kate expressed genuine interest in seeing how the hospital's innovative programs were developing. She particularly wanted to learn more about the mental health support services Dr. Mitchell had mentioned during their previous conversation. The security arrangements were more streamlined this time, as the hospital staff had become familiar with the protocols from Kate's earlier visit. Dr. Mitchell waited in the lobby with a smaller group of colleagues, including Dr. James Wright, the hospital's new mental health coordinator, whom Kate was eager to meet. "Your Royal Highness, welcome back to Surrey Hospital," Dr. Mitchell said as Kate entered the lobby. "We're thrilled that you wanted to return so soon. Thank you for accommodating another visit," Kate replied warmly. "I've been thinking about our conversation regarding mental health support, and I wanted to learn more about how those programs are developing." Dr. Mitchell introduced Dr. Wright, a soft-spoken man in his 40s with an immediate warmth that Kate found reassuring. "Dr. Wright joined us just 2 months ago," Dr. Mitchell explained. "He's been instrumental in expanding our mental health services for new families." "Dr. Wright, I'm very pleased to meet you," Kate said, shaking his hand. "I understand you're working on some innovative approaches to supporting families during the postpartum period." "That's correct, Your Royal Highness," Dr. Wright replied. We've been developing a comprehensive program that addresses not just postpartum depression, but also anxiety, adjustment difficulties, and support for partners and family members. As they walked toward the elevators, Dr. Wright explained how mental health challenges during the postpartum period were far more common than most people realized. Research shows that up to 20% of new mothers experience some form of postpartum mental health challenge, he said. But many suffer in silence because they feel ashamed or think their feelings are abnormal. Kate listened intently as they rode the elevator to the third floor. What are the most effective interventions you've found? Early identification is crucial, Dr. Wright replied. We've trained all our maternity staff to recognize early warning signs and feel comfortable discussing mental health with new families. Many mothers are relieved when someone simply asks how they're feeling emotionally, not just physically. The maternity ward looked exactly as Kate remembered, but Dr. Wright led them to a section she hadn't seen during her previous visit. This is our family wellness center, he explained, opening the door to reveal a series of comfortable rooms designed more like a spa than a medical facility. We've created spaces where families can access mental health support without feeling like they're entering a clinical environment, Dr. Mitchell explained. The goal is to normalize these conversations and make seeking help feel natural rather than stigmatizing. Kate explored the center with fascination. One room was set up for individual counseling sessions, with comfortable armchairs arranged around a low table. Natural light streamed through large windows, and the walls displayed calming artwork created by local artists. Another room was designed for group therapy sessions, with seating arranged in a circle that encouraged open discussion. How do families learn about these services? Kate asked. Every family receives information about mental health support as part of their standard discharge process, Dr. Wright explained. We also have peer support specialists, mothers who have experienced postpartum mental health challenges themselves, and now help other families navigate similar experiences. Peer support can be incredibly powerful, Kate agreed. There's something special about connecting with someone who has walked a similar path. They entered another room where a group therapy session was about to begin. 5 women sat in comfortable chairs, some holding babies, others having left their children at home for this time, focused on their own well-being. The facilitator, a woman named Sarah who introduced herself as both a licensed therapist and a mother who had experienced postpartum anxiety, welcomed Kate warmly. Would it be all right if I observed for a few minutes? Kate asked the group. I'm very interested in learning about your experiences. The women agreed enthusiastically, and Kate took a seat slightly outside their circle. Sarah explained that this particular group met weekly for 8 weeks, focusing on strategies for managing anxiety, building confidence as new mothers, and creating support networks. When I first came here 6 weeks ago, I could barely leave my house, shared Emma, a woman holding a 3-month-old baby girl. I was convinced I was doing everything wrong, that everyone could see I had no idea how to be a mother. And how do you feel now? Sarah asked gently. So much better. Not perfect. I still have hard days, but I understand now that what I was feeling was normal. Talking with other mothers going through similar experiences has been life-changing. Another woman, Rebecca, nodded in agreement. I thought I was the only one who felt overwhelmed and scared. Meeting other mothers who felt the same way, but were learning to cope, gave me hope. Kate listened as the women discussed their challenges and victories with remarkable openness. They talked about sleepless nights, anxiety about their baby's health, struggles with breastfeeding, and the pressure to be perfect mothers. But they also shared moments of joy, increasing confidence, and the gradual development of their maternal instincts. What has been most helpful about this group? Kate asked when Sarah invited her to participate in the conversation. Just knowing I'm not alone, said Jennifer, whose baby boy slept peacefully in her arms, and learning practical strategies for managing anxiety. I used to panic when my son cried because I thought it meant I was failing. Now I understand that babies cry for all sorts of reasons, and it doesn't reflect on my parenting. The education component has been huge for me, added Maria, whose daughter was her second child. I thought having experience with my first baby meant I wouldn't struggle this time. But every baby is different, and every experience is different. Learning that this was normal helped me be more patient with myself. Kate spent nearly 30 minutes with the group, asking thoughtful questions and sharing encouragement. When she prepared to leave, several of the women thanked her for taking time to understand their experiences. "Your visit means so much," Emma said. "Having someone of your stature take interest in postpartum mental health helps reduce the stigma around these issues." As they left the therapy room, Dr. Wright explained more about the program structure and outcomes. "We're seeing remarkable results," he said. "Mothers who participate in our support programs report significantly lower levels of anxiety and depression, and they're more likely to seek help early if they experience difficulties with future pregnancies." "What about support for partners?" Kate asked. "I imagine they need resources too." "Absolutely," Dr. Wright replied, leading them to another area of the wellness center. Partners often feel helpless when their wives are struggling with postpartum mental health challenges. They want to help, but don't know how, and they may be dealing with their own adjustment difficulties. They entered a room where a support group for new fathers was meeting. 8 men sat around a table, discussing their experiences with remarkable honesty. Kate was struck by their openness in sharing both their joys and their struggles with new parenthood. The facilitator, Mark, was a father of 3 who had experienced postpartum depression himself after his second child was born. "Many people don't realize that fathers can experience postpartum depression too," he explained to Kate. "Research suggests it affects about 10% of new fathers, but it's rarely discussed or recognized." Kate listened as the men talked about their experiences. Some discussed feeling overwhelmed by the responsibility of supporting their partners while adjusting to fatherhood themselves. Others talked about returning to work while feeling guilty about leaving their wives at home with new babies. "I felt completely unprepared," shared David, whose daughter had been born 6 weeks earlier. "Everyone focuses on preparing the mother, but nobody talks about how fathers need to adjust too. Coming to this group has helped me realize my feelings were normal." "What kinds of support do you find most helpful?" Kate asked the group. "Just talking honestly about the challenges," replied Tom, whose son was his 3rd child. "Society expects fathers to just figure it out and be strong for everyone else. Having a space where we can admit we're struggling without judgment is incredibly valuable." Another father, James, nodded in agreement. "And learning practical strategies for supporting our partners. I wanted to help my wife, but I didn't know what to do when she was crying or anxious. This group has taught me how to be more supportive." The conversation continued for several more minutes, with Kate asking about work-life balance, sleep deprivation, and the ways the hospital could better support new fathers. The men appreciated her genuine interest in their experiences and offered thoughtful suggestions for program improvements. After leaving the Fathers group, Dr. Wright showed Kate the individual counseling offices where families could receive one-on-one support. "We offer various types of therapy depending on individual needs," he explained. "Some mothers benefit from cognitive behavioral therapy to address anxiety, while others need more intensive support for postpartum depression." "How do you identify which families might need additional support?" Kate asked. "We use several screening tools during hospital stays and follow-up appointments," Dr. Wright replied. "But we've also trained our staff to recognize warning signs during routine interactions. Sometimes a nurse notices that a mother seems unusually anxious or withdrawn, or a midwife observes that a father appears overwhelmed." Dr. Mitchell added, "The key is creating an environment where seeking help feels natural and supported rather than shameful. When families know that mental health support is a normal part of postpartum care, they're much more likely to accept help when they need it." They visited several families who are currently receiving mental health support services. Kate met Sarah Collins, a new mother who had been struggling with severe anxiety about her baby's health. Through counseling and support group participation, Sarah had learned techniques for managing her worry and was regaining confidence in her parenting abilities. The first few weeks were so hard, Sarah told Kate while holding her healthy baby son. I was checking on him constantly, convinced something terrible was going to happen. I barely slept because I was so worried. How are you feeling now? Kate asked gently. So much better. I still worry sometimes. I think all mothers do, but I've learned to distinguish between normal concern and anxiety that's interfering with my life. The counseling helped me develop coping strategies, and the support group showed me I wasn't alone. Kate spent time with Sarah discussing her experience with the hospital's mental health services, asking about what had been most helpful and whether she felt adequately supported. Sarah's gratitude was evident as she described how the program had transformed her early motherhood experience. In another room, Kate met the Johnson family, where both parents were receiving support after experiencing significant anxiety during their baby's NICU stay. Baby Grace, whom Kate had met during her previous visit, was now home and thriving, but her parents were still processing the emotional trauma of her early arrival and medical complications. Having a premature baby was terrifying, Mrs. Johnson explained. Even though Grace is doing beautifully now, we're still dealing with anxiety about her health and development. The counseling has helped us work through those fears. Mr. Johnson added, I felt like I had to be strong for my wife, but I was falling apart inside. Having someone to talk to about my own fears and feelings has made a huge difference. Kate listened as the Johnsons described their journey from fear and uncertainty to growing confidence as Grace's parents. The mental health support had been crucial in helping them process their NICU experience and bond with their daughter after the initial crisis period. Grace looks wonderful, Kate observed, watching the baby smile and coo in her mother's arms. You're clearly devoted parents. We are now, Mrs. Johnson laughed. But it took time and support to get to this point. Without the counseling services here, I think we would have struggled much longer. As the afternoon progressed, Kate learned more about the hospital's innovative approaches to mental health support. They had developed partnerships with local community organizations to provide ongoing support after families left the hospital, created educational materials for extended family members who wanted to help, and established a 24-hour helpline for families experiencing mental health crises. The goal is to create a comprehensive support network, Dr. Wright explained. Mental health challenges don't operate on a 9-to-5 schedule, so our support shouldn't either. Kate was particularly impressed by the hospital's peer support program, where mothers who had successfully navigated postpartum mental health challenges received training to support other families facing similar struggles. She met with 3 peer support specialists who shared their experiences both as mothers who had received help and as advocates helping others. There's something powerful about talking to someone who's been exactly where you are, explained Lisa, a peer support specialist whose own experience with postpartum anxiety had led her to advocacy work. When I tell a new mother that I understand what she's feeling because I've been there too, it creates an immediate connection. How do you balance sharing your own experience with focusing on their needs? Kate asked. That's something we train extensively on, Lisa replied. We learn to share just enough of our story to create connection and hope, but always keep the focus on the current situation and what the family needs now. Another peer specialist, Rachel, added, we also help normalize the experience. Many mothers think of the first person ever to feel overwhelmed or scared. When they hear that other mothers, including mothers they perceive as successful and happy, have felt the same way, it reduces their sense of isolation. Kate spent considerable time discussing the peer support program with the specialists and learning about their training process. She was struck by their dedication and the obvious impact their work was having on other families. Later in the afternoon, Dr. Mitchell took Kate to observe a new mother's education class that incorporated mental health awareness into routine postpartum education. Instead of focusing only on physical recovery and baby care, the class also addressed emotional adjustment, warning signs of mental health challenges, and resources for support. We've integrated mental health education into all our standard programming, Dr. Mitchell explained. Rather than treating it as a separate issue, we present emotional well-being as a normal part of postpartum care. The class instructor, a midwife named Patricia, was discussing sleep deprivation and its impact on both physical and emotional health. New parents often don't realize how much sleep loss can affect their mood and ability to cope, she told a group of new mothers and their partners. What if you're doing everything right, but still feel overwhelmed? Asked one of the mothers in the class. That's completely normal, Patricia replied reassuringly. Becoming a parent is one of life's biggest transitions, even when everything goes smoothly. Feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. Kate appreciated how naturally mental health topics were woven into practical discussions about baby care and recovery. The approach helped normalize emotional challenges and made seeking help seem like a routine part of good healthcare rather than a sign of weakness or failure. As the class continued, Patricia discussed specific strategies for maintaining emotional health during the early weeks of parenthood. She talked about the importance of accepting help from others, setting realistic expectations, and staying connected with supportive people. Many new mothers feel pressure to be perfect, but perfect mothers don't exist, Patricia told the group. The goal is to be a good enough mother who learns and grows along with your baby. Kate found this message powerful in its simplicity. The pressure to be perfect was something she had observed in many of the families she met, and helping parents adjust their expectations seemed like crucial preventive work. After the class ended, Kate spoke privately with Patricia about her approach to mental health education. How do parents typically respond to these discussions? Kate asked. Most are relieved, Patricia replied. They've been having these feelings, but didn't know if they were normal. When we talk openly about emotional challenges, they feel permission to be honest about their own experiences. Do you find that early education prevents more serious mental health problems later? Absolutely. When parents know what to expect and have strategies for coping, they're much better equipped to handle difficulties. And when they know help is available and normal, they seek support earlier rather than suffering in silence. The afternoon was drawing to a close, but Kate made time to visit several more families who were participating in various aspects of the mental health program. Each encounter reinforced her understanding of how crucial these services were for supporting families during the vulnerable postpartum period. She met Maria Santos, a mother who had developed severe postpartum depression after her second child, but was now thriving with treatment and support. Maria's openness about her struggles and recovery provided hope for other mothers facing similar challenges. I thought I should know what I was doing because this wasn't my first baby, Maria explained. When I struggled anyway, I felt like such a failure. Learning that every pregnancy and postpartum period is different helped me be more compassionate with myself. Kate also spent time with the Rodriguez family, where cultural factors had initially prevented them from seeking mental health support. Through culturally sensitive counseling and education, they had overcome their hesitations and were now actively participating in support services. In our culture, we don't talk about emotional problems, Mrs. Rodriguez explained. But the counselor helped us understand that taking care of emotional health is just as important as taking care of physical health. Now we encourage other families from our community to use these services too. These conversations highlighted the importance of culturally competent mental health services and the need to address barriers that might prevent certain populations from accessing care. As Kate prepared to conclude her visit, Dr. Wright and Dr. Mitchell gathered with several staff members to discuss the impact of the mental health programs and plans for future development. The statistics were impressive. Families participating in the programs reported higher satisfaction with their postpartum experience, lower rates of postpartum depression and anxiety, and stronger bonding with their babies. We're seeing measurable improvements in family well-being, Dr. Wright reported. But perhaps more importantly, we're changing the conversation around postpartum mental health. Families are starting to expect emotional support as part of their care, not just medical treatment. Kate asked about challenges and areas for improvement. The staff identified funding limitations, the need for more specialized training for all healthcare providers, and the importance of community partnerships to extend support beyond the hospital setting. What will be most helpful in expanding these programs? Kate inquired. Awareness and advocacy are crucial, Dr. Mitchell replied. When people understand how common postpartum mental health challenges are and how effective treatment can be, they're more supportive of funding these programs. Education for healthcare providers is also important, Dr. Wright added. Many medical professionals receive minimal training in mental health, so they may not recognize when families need additional support. As Kate's visit concluded, she reflected on the comprehensive approach Surrey Hospital had developed for supporting families' emotional well-being alongside their medical needs. The integration of mental health services into routine maternity care represented a significant advance in family-centered healthcare. The staff gathered to see Kate off, expressing gratitude for her interest in their mental health programs and her advocacy for families' emotional well-being. Several mentioned how her visits helped validate the importance of their work and provided motivation for continued innovation. Your support means so much to our families and staff, Dr. Mitchell said as they prepared to say goodbye. Having someone of your profile champion mental health awareness helps reduce stigma and encourages other healthcare facilities to develop similar programs. Kate's second visit to Surrey Hospital had deepened her understanding of the complex needs families face during the postpartum period and the innovative ways healthcare providers were addressing those needs. The mental health program she observed represented a significant step forward in comprehensive family care, and she left feeling inspired by the dedication of the staff and the resilience of the families they served. The drive back through the Surrey countryside gave Kate time to process what she had learned and consider how she might support similar programs in other healthcare settings. The conversations with families, healthcare providers, and peer support specialists had provided valuable insights into both the challenges and solutions in postpartum mental health care. As the hospital disappeared from view behind autumn trees, Kate carried with her the stories of families who had found hope and healing through comprehensive mental health support. Their experiences would influence her future advocacy work and remind her of the profound impact that holistic healthcare approaches could have on families during life's most vulnerable moments. The November morning was crisp and clear when Kate arrived at Surrey Hospital for a third visit in 2 months. This time, she came with a specific purpose that had developed from her previous experiences at the hospital. After witnessing the innovative programs firsthand, she wanted to explore how Surrey Hospital's approaches might be shared with other healthcare facilities across the region. Kate had spent considerable time since her last visit thinking about the mental health and family support programs she had observed. The comprehensive approach, the integration of emotional well-being into routine medical care, and the measurable improvements in family outcomes represented exactly the kind of healthcare innovation that needed to be replicated more widely. Today's visit would be different from her previous ones. Rather than focusing primarily on meeting families and observing programs, Kate planned to participate in a symposium that Surrey Hospital was hosting for healthcare administrators and policymakers from across the country. Her presence at the event would signal royal support for innovative approaches to maternal and newborn care. Dr. Mitchell greeted Kate at the hospital entrance alongside Dr. Wright and several other senior staff members. Your Royal Highness, we're absolutely delighted that you've agreed to participate in our symposium today, Dr. Mitchell said warmly. Your presence will help demonstrate the importance of comprehensive family care to healthcare leaders from across the region. I'm honored to be here, Kate replied. The work you're doing deserves much wider recognition and implementation. If today's event can help other families access similar support, then it will be time very well spent. They walked together toward the hospital's conference center, a modern facility adjacent to the main building. Kate could see through the large windows that the auditorium was filling with participants. Healthcare administrators, nurses, midwives, mental health professionals, and policymakers had traveled from hospitals across England to learn about Surrey Hospital's innovative programs. How many facilities are represented today? Kate asked as they entered the building. Over 60 hospitals and birthing centers, Dr. Wright replied. We've also had interest from healthcare systems in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The demand for information about our programs has been extraordinary. Kate was pleased to hear about the widespread interest. During her previous visits, she had recognized that the approaches developed at Surrey Hospital could benefit families far beyond their immediate community. Today's symposium represented an opportunity to catalyze broader change in how healthcare systems approach maternal and newborn care. As they entered the conference center, Kate was introduced to several of the symposium participants. She met Dr. Amanda Foster from Edinburgh Royal Infirmary, who was interested in implementing similar mental health support programs in Scotland. Dr. Foster explained that her hospital served a diverse urban population and faced challenges with postpartum mental health that mirror those addressed at Surrey Hospital. We've been looking for evidence-based approaches to improve our mental health support, Dr. Foster told Kate. The outcomes data from Surrey Hospital's programs are exactly what we needed to convince our administrators to invest in similar services. Kate also spoke with Helen Morrison, a midwifery director from a hospital in Manchester. Our staff have been asking for better tools to support families' emotional well-being, Morrison explained. We know the need is there, but we haven't had a comprehensive framework for addressing it. That's why we're here today. These conversations reinforce Kate's understanding of how widespread the need was for improved mental health support in maternity care. Healthcare providers across the country recognize the gaps in current services and were actively seeking solutions. The symposium began with Dr. Mitchell presenting an overview of Surrey Hospital's journey from traditional maternity care to their current comprehensive approach. She described the physical renovations that had created more comfortable, family-friendly birthing environments, but emphasized that the most significant changes involved integrating emotional and mental health support into routine care. When we first proposed these changes 5 years ago, some questioned whether mental health support was really a priority for a maternity ward, Dr. Mitchell told the audience. Today, our outcomes data clearly demonstrates that addressing families' emotional well-being improves both medical results and patient satisfaction. Kate listened as Dr. Mitchell presented statistics showing reduced readmission rates, higher breastfeeding success rates, and improved patient satisfaction scores since implementing their comprehensive programs. The data provided compelling evidence that holistic care approaches could benefit both families and healthcare systems. Dr. Wright followed with a detailed presentation about the mental health programs he had developed. He described the screening tools used to identify families who might benefit from additional support, the various types of interventions available, and the training provided to all staff members to help them recognize and address emotional health concerns. The key insight was recognizing that mental health support shouldn't be a separate service that families access only in crisis situations, Dr. Wright explained to the audience. Instead, we've integrated emotional well-being into every aspect of maternity care, making it as routine as checking blood pressure or monitoring baby's weight. The presentation included case studies that demonstrated the impact of the programs on real families. While maintaining privacy and confidentiality, Dr. Wright shared stories that illustrated how early intervention and comprehensive support had helped families navigate challenges and build stronger bonds with their babies. Kate was scheduled to address the symposium participants after the morning presentations. As she prepared to speak, she reflected on the families she had met during her visits to Surrey Hospital and the dedicated healthcare professionals she had observed working with them. When introduced, Kate received warm applause from the audience of healthcare professionals. She began her remarks by describing her experiences during her visits to Surrey Hospital and the profound impact she had witnessed of their comprehensive approach to family care. Over the past 2 months, I have had the privilege of meeting families at Surrey Hospital who were experiencing some of life's most precious and vulnerable moments, Kate told the audience. What I observed was healthcare that recognized the full humanity of the families being served, their medical needs, certainly, but also their emotional, psychological, and social needs. Kate described specific encounters with families, being careful to maintain their privacy while illustrating the impact of the hospital's programs. She talked about mothers who had found support for postpartum anxiety, fathers who had learned strategies for supporting their partners, and families who had navigated medical complications with comprehensive emotional support. The difference these programs make is not just statistical. Though the data is impressive, Kate continued. The difference is visible in the faces of families who feel supported rather than alone during one of life's most challenging transitions. She emphasized the importance of early intervention and preventive approaches to mental health. Rather than waiting for families to reach crisis points, Surrey Hospital has created systems that identify and address challenges early, when interventions are most effective and least disruptive. Kate also spoke about the economic benefits of comprehensive care approaches. When families receive appropriate support during the postpartum period, they require less intensive interventions later. They have better health outcomes, stronger family bonds, and greater confidence in their parenting abilities. The initial investment in comprehensive support generates significant returns in improved family well-being and reduced healthcare costs. The audience listened attentively as Kate described her conversations with healthcare staff at Surrey Hospital. The nurses, midwives, and other professionals I met were energized by working in an environment where they could address all aspects of family well-being. They felt more effective in their roles and more satisfied with the care they could provide. Kate concluded her remarks by challenging the symposium participants to consider how they might implement similar approaches in their own healthcare settings. Every family deserves access to comprehensive care that recognizes both their medical and emotional needs, she said. The question is not whether we can afford to implement these programs, but whether we can afford not to. The applause following Kate's address was sustained and enthusiastic. During the question and answer period that followed, several participants asked specific questions about implementation strategies, funding mechanisms, and staff training requirements. Dr. Sarah Chun from a London hospital asked about the most significant barriers to implementing comprehensive mental health programs. Kate deferred to Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Wright for their expertise, but added her own observations about the importance of leadership commitment and cultural change within healthcare organizations. From what I've observed, the most successful changes happen when entire organizations commit to viewing mental health as integral to medical care rather than as an add-on service, Kate noted. It requires training for all staff, not just mental health specialists, and support from administrators who understand the long-term benefits of these investments. After the morning session, Kate participated in small group discussions where healthcare professionals could explore specific aspects of Surrey Hospital's programs in greater detail. She joined a group focused on peer support programs, where participants discussed strategies for recruiting and training mothers who had experienced mental health challenges to support other families. The peer support specialists I've met at Surrey Hospital bring a unique perspective that professional counselors, however skilled, cannot replicate. Kate contributed to the discussion. There's something powerful about receiving support from someone who has walked exactly the same path. The group discussed practical considerations for implementing peer support programs, including training requirements, supervision structures, and integration with professional mental health services. Kate listened as healthcare providers shared their own experiences and challenges in supporting families' emotional well-being. In another small group session focused on staff training, Kate learned about the comprehensive educational programs Surrey Hospital had developed for all employees who interacted with families. The training covered recognizing signs of mental health challenges, initiating supportive conversations, and knowing when and how to connect families with specialized services. One of the most important things we've learned is that everyone on our staff has a role in supporting families' emotional well-being, explained Patricia, the midwife Kate had met during her previous visit. It's not just the job of mental health professionals. It's everyone's responsibility to create a supportive environment. Kate was impressed by the emphasis on organization-wide cultural change rather than simply adding new services. The approach required significant commitment and coordination, but appeared to create more comprehensive and effective support for families. During lunch, Kate had the opportunity for more detailed conversations with symposium participants about their current challenges and plans for implementing new programs. She met with a group of midwifery directors who were developing a regional network to share resources and best practices for mental health support. We're realizing that we don't all need to develop these programs independently, explained Janet Williams, a midwifery director from Wales. By working together, we can share costs, training resources, and expertise while still adapting programs to meet our local community's specific needs. Kate found this collaborative approach particularly promising. The idea of regional networks that could support multiple healthcare facilities simultaneously seemed like an efficient way to expand access to comprehensive care while managing costs and resource requirements. She also spoke with representatives from healthcare policy organizations who were attending the symposium to understand how innovative programs like Surrey hospitals might inform broader policy recommendations. These conversations highlighted the potential for individual hospital innovations to influence healthcare policy at regional and national levels. The afternoon session focused on practical implementation strategies, with Surrey hospital staff leading workshops on various aspects of program development. Kate attended a session on measuring outcomes and demonstrating program effectiveness, recognizing the importance of data in convincing healthcare administrators and policymakers to invest in comprehensive programs. Dr. Wright presented detailed information about the evaluation methods Surrey Hospital used to track program effectiveness. We measure not just clinical outcomes, but also family satisfaction, staff satisfaction, and long-term indicators of family well-being, he explained to the workshop participants. The evaluation data was impressive, showing consistent improvements across multiple measures since the comprehensive programs have been implemented. Families reported higher satisfaction with their hospital experience, staff reported greater job satisfaction, and measurable improvements were evident in various health and well-being indicators. The key is measuring what matters, Dr. Wright emphasized. Clinical outcomes are important, but so are families' emotional experiences, their confidence as parents, and their ability to access support when they need it. Kate participated in discussions about the challenges of implementing comprehensive evaluation systems while maintaining focus on direct service delivery. Healthcare professionals needed to demonstrate program effectiveness to secure continued funding, but they also needed to avoid becoming so focused on measurement that it interfered with their primary mission of caring for families. In a workshop focused on funding strategies, Kate learned about the various approaches Surrey Hospital had used to support their program development. They had combined traditional healthcare funding with charitable donations, grants from foundations focused on maternal and child health, and cost savings generated by improved outcomes. The initial investment was significant, Dr. Mitchell acknowledged. But we've been able to demonstrate return on investment through reduced readmissions, shorter hospital stays, and decreased need for intensive interventions later. Kate was particularly interested in the role of charitable funding in supporting program development. Many of the innovations at Surrey Hospital have been made possible by donations from individuals and organizations committed to improving family well-being. Community support has been crucial, Dr. Mitchell continued. When people understand how these programs benefit families in their area, they're willing to contribute to making them possible. The workshop discussion included strategies for building community support, communicating program benefits to potential donors, and maintaining funding for ongoing operations. Kate recognized that sustainable funding would be essential for expanding these approaches to other healthcare settings. As the symposium drew to a close, Kate participated in a panel discussion about the future of comprehensive maternal and newborn care. Alongside Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Wright, and several other healthcare leaders, she discussed the potential for broader implementation of holistic care approaches. What we've seen at Surrey Hospital represents a fundamental shift in how we think about healthcare, Kate noted during the panel. Rather than treating symptoms in isolation, we're addressing the full range of factors that influence family well-being. The panel discussed various challenges to widespread implementation, including funding constraints, staff training requirements, and the need for cultural change within healthcare organizations. However, the discussion remained optimistic about the potential for positive change. 5 years ago, integrated mental health support in maternity care was considered innovative, Dr. Wright observed. Today, it's increasingly recognized as essential. I believe we're at a tipping point where comprehensive care will become the standard rather than the exception. Kate was encouraged by this perspective and by the enthusiasm of the symposium participants. Healthcare professionals from across the country were clearly ready to implement more comprehensive approaches to family care, and events like this symposium were helping to provide the knowledge and networks necessary for success. During the closing session, several participants shared their plans for implementing new programs in their own healthcare settings. A hospital in Birmingham announced plans to develop peer support programs modeled after Surrey Hospital's approach. A birthing center in Cornwall described their intention to integrate mental health screening into routine postpartum care. Today's symposium has provided us with both the evidence base and the practical tools we needed to move forward, said Dr. Foster from Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. We're leaving here with concrete plans and new partnerships that will help us improve care for families in Scotland. Kate was delighted to hear about these commitments to action. The symposium appeared to be achieving its goal of catalyzing broader implementation of comprehensive care approaches. As the formal program concluded, Kate remained for informal conversations with participants who wanted to discuss specific aspects of program development or share their own innovations in family care. These conversations reinforced her understanding of the widespread commitment among healthcare professionals to improving family well-being. One conversation particularly struck her with a young midwife named Rebecca who worked at a small rural hospital. "We don't have the resources for comprehensive programs like Surrey Hospital," Rebecca said. "But today has given me ideas for small changes we could make that would still improve families' experiences." Kate encouraged Rebecca to think creatively about adapting successful approaches to different settings and resource levels. "Not every innovation requires major funding," Kate suggested. "Sometimes simple changes in how staff interact with families can make significant differences in their emotional well-being." This conversation highlighted an important point about the scalability of comprehensive care approaches. While Surrey Hospital's programs were impressive in their scope and sophistication, the underlying principles could be adapted to various settings and resource levels. Before leaving the hospital, Kate met briefly with the Surrey Hospital team to discuss the day's events and their impressions of participant engagement. Dr. Mitchell reported that they had received numerous requests for follow-up consultations and site visits from healthcare facilities interested in implementing similar programs. "Your participation today made an enormous difference," Dr. Mitchell told Kate. "Having royal support for these approaches lends credibility and urgency to the work we're trying to spread more widely." Kate was pleased that her presence had helped amplify the impact of the symposium, but she emphasized that the real credit belonged to the healthcare professionals who were doing the daily work of caring for families and innovating new approaches to better meet their needs. "Today was successful because of the dedication and expertise of people like you who are committed to improving family well-being," Kate replied. "My role is simply to help ensure that these innovations receive the recognition and support they deserve." As Kate prepared to leave Surrey Hospital after her third visit, she reflected on how much her understanding of maternal and newborn care had deepened through her interactions with the hospital's staff and families. The comprehensive approach they had developed represented a significant advance in healthcare delivery, one that recognized the complex needs of families during vulnerable life transitions. The symposium had demonstrated that healthcare professionals across the country were ready to embrace more holistic approaches to family care. They needed evidence of effectiveness, practical implementation strategies, and support for cultural change within their organizations. Events like today's symposium were helping to provide all of these elements. Kate's involvement in the symposium had reinforced her commitment to supporting innovation in healthcare and advocating for comprehensive approaches to family well-being. The potential impact extended far beyond any single hospital or community. It represented a fundamental improvement in how society supported families during some of their most important and vulnerable moments. As her car pulled away from Surrey Hospital, Kate carried with her not only the inspiration of what she had observed at this innovative facility, but also hope for the broader transformation that was beginning to take shape across healthcare systems. The conversations and commitments she had witnessed during the symposium suggested that many more families would soon have access to the kind of comprehensive, compassionate care that she had seen firsthand at Surrey Hospital. The work of spreading these innovations would continue, requiring ongoing collaboration between healthcare professionals, policymakers, and advocates. But today's symposium had demonstrated that the commitment and expertise necessary for this transformation were already present in communities across the country. What remained was the continued work of implementation, evaluation, and refinement that would make comprehensive family care the standard rather than the exception. December brought an unexpected urgency to Kate's planned fourth visit to Surrey Hospital. Dr. Mitchell had called 2 weeks earlier with news that would transform the nature of Kate's engagement with their innovative programs. A major healthcare foundation had expressed serious interest in funding the replication of Surrey Hospital's comprehensive care model at 10 additional facilities across the United Kingdom. But they wanted Kate's assessment of the program's impact before making their final funding decision. The foundation's interest had been sparked by the outcomes from November's symposium, where healthcare leaders from across the country had committed to implementing similar programs in their own facilities. However, the Foundation's board wanted an independent perspective on the real-world effectiveness of Surrey Hospital's approaches, and Kate's observations would carry significant weight in their decision-making process. This visit would be Kate's most comprehensive yet, involving meetings with families who had been served by the programs over several months, staff members who could speak to long-term implementation challenges, and administrators who could provide honest assessments of both successes and areas needing improvement. Kate arrived at Surrey Hospital on a crisp December morning to find the maternity ward decorated for Christmas, with gentle holiday decorations that maintained the calm, welcoming atmosphere she had come to associate with the facility. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Wright met her in the lobby, along with Margaret Thompson, the hospital's chief administrator, whom Kate was meeting for the first time. "Your Royal Highness, I'm Margaret Thompson," the administrator introduced herself. "I understand you're here to provide an assessment of our comprehensive care programs for the Morrison Foundation." "That's correct," Kate replied. "I want to understand not just the immediate impact of your programs, but their sustainability and potential for replication in other settings. The Foundation is considering a very significant investment, and they want to ensure it will generate real improvements in family well-being." Margaret Thompson nodded approvingly. "I appreciate that thorough approach. We've prepared detailed documentation about costs, outcomes, and implementation challenges that we'd like to share with you today." As they walked toward the elevators, Dr. Mitchell explained the day's schedule. "We've arranged for you to meet with families who have been part of our programs for various lengths of time, from those who gave birth just last week to others who've been connected with our services for over a year. I'm particularly interested in speaking with families who can provide honest feedback about what's working well and what could be improved," Kate said. "The Foundation will want to know about both successes and challenges." The first family Kate met was the Patel family, whose daughter had been born 6 months earlier with medical complications that required an extended NICU stay. Both parents had participated extensively in the hospital's mental health support programs during and after their daughter's medical treatment. "When Priya was born with heart complications, we were terrified," Mrs. Patel explained as she held her now healthy 6-month-old daughter. "The medical team was excellent, but dealing with the emotional trauma of having a sick newborn was overwhelming." Mr. Patel continued the story. "The hospital's mental health team connected with us within hours of Priya's admission to the NICU. At first, I thought we didn't need counseling. We just needed our baby to get better. But I learned that taking care of our emotional health was essential for taking care of Priya. Kate spent considerable time with the Patel family, learning about their experience with various aspects of the hospital's comprehensive care. They had participated in counseling sessions, support groups for NICU parents, and ongoing check-ins even after Priya's discharge from the hospital. The support didn't end when we left the hospital, Mrs. Patel emphasized. We still have access to counseling services and parent support groups. 6 months later, we still use these resources when we need them. Kate asked about the long-term impact of the support they had received. How do you think your experience would have been different without these programs? I think we would have struggled much longer, Mr. Patel replied thoughtfully. We probably would have developed more serious anxiety problems, and our relationship might have suffered. The support helped us process the trauma of Priya's illness and develop coping strategies that we still use. Mrs. Patel added, we've actually become peer support volunteers ourselves now. We help other families going through NICU experiences. The programs here don't just help individual families. They create ongoing networks of support. This conversation highlighted an aspect of Surrey Hospital's programs that Kate found particularly compelling. The way families who received support often became advocates and volunteers who helped other families. This created sustainable, community-based networks that extended the reach of professional services. Kate next met with the Johnson family, who had experienced a very different but equally challenging situation. Their son had been born healthy, but Mrs. Johnson had developed severe postpartum depression that required intensive treatment and support. I had no warning signs during pregnancy, Mrs. Johnson explained. I felt prepared for motherhood, excited about our baby, but within weeks of giving birth, I was struggling with thoughts that scared me. The family's experience illustrated the importance of comprehensive mental health services and early intervention strategies. Mrs. Johnson had received individual counseling, medication management, and intensive support from peer specialists while maintaining her bond with her baby through specialized programs designed for mothers with postpartum depression. The key was that everyone here understood postpartum depression as a medical condition, not a personal failing, Mr. Johnson explained. There was no judgment, just professional support focused on helping our family heal. Kate was particularly interested in understanding the family's long-term outcomes. How are things now, several months later? Much better, Mrs. Johnson replied with obvious relief. I still have challenging days, but I have strategies for managing them, and I know where to get help if I need it. Most importantly, I have a strong bond with my son and confidence in my ability to be a good mother. The family credited the hospital's comprehensive approach with preventing what could have been a much more serious and long-lasting mental health crisis. Early intervention, family-centered treatment, and ongoing support had enabled Mrs. Johnson to recover while maintaining her relationship with her baby. Kate spent the morning meeting with several more families, each representing different aspects of Surrey Hospital's comprehensive care programs. She met new parents who had benefited from expanded education programs, families who had navigated breastfeeding challenges with enhanced support services, and parents who had used the hospital's innovative programs for managing pregnancy and birth anxiety. Each conversation reinforced Kate's understanding of how integrated, comprehensive care could address the complex needs families faced during the perinatal period. The programs were not just preventing crises. They were actively building families' resilience and capacity for long-term well-being. During lunch, Kate met with a group of healthcare staff to discuss their experiences implementing and maintaining the comprehensive care programs. The conversation included nurses, midwives, mental health professionals, and support staff providing perspectives from across the hospital's team. What has been the most significant challenge in implementing these programs? Kate asked the group. Cultural change within the organization, replied Janet, a senior midwife who had worked at the hospital for over 15 years. We had a shift from thinking about our job as just delivering babies safely to thinking about supporting entire families through a major life transition. Dr. Wright added, training staff to recognize and address mental health concerns was also a major undertaking. We couldn't just hire a few mental health specialists. We needed everyone to understand their role in supporting families' emotional well-being. The group discussed various aspects of program implementation, including resource allocation, staff workload management, and coordination between different types of services. Kate was impressed by their honest assessment of both successes and ongoing challenges. Has staff satisfaction changed since implementing these programs? Kate inquired. Dramatically improved, said Patricia, the midwife Kate had met during previous visits. We feel much more effective in our roles. Instead of just treating medical conditions, we're supporting families holistically. It's much more rewarding work. Another nurse, Maria, agreed. When families leave here feeling supported and confident, it reminds us why we chose healthcare careers. The comprehensive approach makes our work more meaningful. The conversation also addressed practical concerns about sustainability and resource requirements. The staff were honest about the additional time and training required for comprehensive care, but emphasized that improved outcomes and family satisfaction made these investments worthwhile. Do you think this approach could work in facilities with fewer resources? Kate asked. Absolutely. With adaptations, Dr. Wright replied. The core principles, integrating mental health awareness, providing family education, creating supportive environments, can be implemented at various scales. Not every facility needs identical programs, but every facility can improve their approach to family well-being. This perspective encouraged Kate, as it suggested that the Foundation's investment could have impact even in facilities that couldn't replicate Surrey Hospital's programs exactly. In the afternoon, Kate attended a detailed presentation by Margaret Thompson about the hospital's financial analysis of their comprehensive care programs. The data was thorough and impressive, demonstrating both the costs of implementation and the measurable returns on investment. Initial setup costs were approximately £800,000 over 2 years, Thompson explained. This included staff training, program development, facility modifications, and new equipment. Ongoing annual costs are about £400,000 above our previous budget. Kate studied the financial data carefully. And what returns have you measured? Reduced readmission rates have saved approximately £200,000 annually, Thompson continued. Shorter average hospital stays generate additional savings of about £150,000 per year. Patient satisfaction improvements have enhanced our reputation and patient volume, contributing additional revenue. The financial analysis also included less quantifiable but equally important benefits such as staff retention, reduced liability exposure, and enhanced community relationships. While some benefits were difficult to measure precisely, the overall financial picture demonstrated that comprehensive care programs could be economically sustainable. What would be required to implement similar programs at other facilities? Kate asked. Thompson presented detailed implementation timelines and resource requirements for facilities of various sizes and characteristics. The analysis suggested that basic comprehensive care approaches could be implemented for significantly less than Surrey Hospital's investment, while still generating meaningful improvements in family outcomes. The key is adapting programs to local resources and community needs rather than trying to replicate our exact model, Thompson emphasized. The principles are transferable, but the specific implementation should vary. Kate appreciated this nuanced approach to program replication. Rather than promoting a one-size-fits-all solution, Surrey Hospital was offering a framework that could be adapted to different contexts while maintaining focus on comprehensive family well-being. Following the financial presentation, Kate toured several areas of the hospital she hadn't seen during previous visits, including the facility's research and evaluation programs. Surrey Hospital was not only implementing innovative care approaches, but also systematically studying their effectiveness and contributing to the broader evidence base for comprehensive maternal and newborn care. Dr. Lisa Chun, the hospital's research coordinator, showed Kate the data collection and analysis systems used to track program outcomes. We're measuring everything from clinical indicators to family satisfaction to staff well-being, Dr. Chun explained. The goal is to understand not just whether our programs work, but how they work and for whom. The research program included longitudinal studies following families for up to 2 years after birth, comparative analyses with other healthcare facilities, and detailed cost-effectiveness evaluations. This rigorous approach to evaluation was generating evidence that could support broader policy changes and funding decisions. What have been your most significant research findings? Kate asked. The integration of mental health support with medical care produces better outcomes than either approach alone, Dr. Chen replied. We've also found that peer support programs are particularly effective and cost